Hello, and welcome to a fancy, fresh new episode of Ask an Assistant, the podcast for executive assistants and the people that love them. I'm your host, Jess Lindgren. Let's get to work. Today's question comes from a real-life situation that happened this very week. A friend of mine needed help buying a new washing machine for their home and stopped by yesterday morning to poke through my Costco account and kind of help them narrow down some options and make it happen. I was super happy to help out with the caveat that I would sit them down and have them write a question that I could use for some sweet, sweet content. Without further ado, here we go. Hey Jess, I have to make a major appliance purchase and I am so overwhelmed with the sheer volume of options available. I could spend another day researching. I know that my time is valuable, but I tend to get buyer's remorse and worry that I could have gotten a better deal if I just looked at 1 or 2 or 10 more options. Do you have any advice for making a decision and being okay with it? So in this specific situation, we ended up looking at options available through Costco.com, where I happen to have a membership, and we did some light price comparison. The machine that they picked out, there were a couple of form factors. 1, they wanted it to be a front-loading machine. 2, it had to fit, the size needed to be right. Obviously, that's like a major qualification when you're searching for a replacement appliance. So that front loader, the right size. They also wanted to make sure that the door opened the correct way, just again, due to your size constraints. And they didn't care all that much about color. The last constraint was the fact that their present machine is leaking. So time is of the essence. So even though there were machines that they liked a little bit better that wouldn't have been available for a couple more weeks, choosing something that could be delivered this week was of the essence. So once we chose a make and model and color that they liked, we poked through all the color options available, and it turned out that, like the brushed steel or whatever, it's not the same color as their dryer, but it was like $200 cheaper than everything else. So go with, you have it behind a door. Who cares? Go with the one that's going to save you a little more money. And then by light price comparison, instead of, what does the local big box retailer have to offer that Costco doesn't? We just said, okay, here is the make and model of this machine. Do any local stores, whether they're big box, whether they're small, anything in between, does anybody else sell this exact same machine, and how does it compare? So we looked at it through the big box retailers. You know who they are. The machine itself was about $150 more and did not include haul away of the old machine, installation of the new machine, a very good warranty. I think other retailers were giving it with like a 90 or 120 day warranty, and Costco comes with a 2-year warranty, and delivery, installation, and haul away are all included. So those extra services would have been like another $200 or so. So between, let's just say for sake of conversation, $150 more for the machine itself, $200 worth of additional services. By signing up for a Costco membership at $60 a year, we still came out ahead of all the other options that were available. We got something that could be delivered this week. It was less expensive for the machine. All of the bells and whistles were included. My friend, totally thrilled at the end of it and felt really confident about their purchase. So I felt really great about that. Hopefully that particular plan of action resonates with some of you. It did make me think of a couple other examples in the same vein. Several years ago, I was working on a project for an event that needed a ticketing platform decision made. Somebody on the project wanted to set up a meeting with me to discuss platform options, then take demos from the platforms, then regroup to discuss the options. I am famous for having very little patience for any meeting that could have been an email. I ended up agreeing to one Slack DM session where we just sat in real time. I said, hey, we all know how to use Eventbrite, right? Because it's very common in the entrepreneurial space for ticketed events, free events, paid events, anything like that. We're all familiar with it. We know how to use it. Their terms and fees and processing costs are fine. Attendees will largely be familiar with it. And it has a pretty gentle learning curve. So instead of reinventing the wheel, instead of spending 5, 10, 20 hours worth of research, demos, making a decision, could we just spend 15 minutes here today and just make the decision that we're going to use Eventbrite? And they eventually ended up agreeing to it. Well, not eventually. It was pretty quick turnaround, which was great. But yeah, just instead of spending all of this time and effort to probably end up on the exact same decision, we probably would have went with Eventbrite anyway. Why not just cut all that extra time out of it? And if you didn't like Eventbrite for the event, you do a pros and cons list after the event. You say, okay, what went well? What could be improved on? What should we keep doing? Same thing goes for your ticketing platform. Just say, okay, we got a lot of attendee feedback that this wasn't clear, or the ticket fees came in a lot higher than we thought they would. It ended up being great, and we didn't have to spend a ton of time developing an unnecessary project of doing the research, coming back, making a decision, and then implementing something. And we just implemented from the get-go, and it was wonderful. Similar but different vein, I did several years ago have a client who wanted some polo shirts made. They wanted to discuss fabric and style options. They wanted me to get quotes and proposals from different vendors, give them 3 to 5 proposals for a grand total of 5 company polos. I sat them down and I was like, okay, listen, I could do all of that. And I could bill you at $75 an hour for me to do the research, for me to contact each vendor, to track down proposals, to come back to you and present all the information. Or you could just pay my minimum, which is 2 hours, and it's going to take me less than 2 hours to manage the order through Custom Ink, a company that I know and love and have worked with many times and use all the time for small quantity shirt orders. The client ended up loving the shirts that we got through Custom Ink. I loved making a quick project happen, and just, again, cutting out all that nonsense. Like, you really truly can find yourself overwhelmed by all of the options that are available, especially today in 2024. Like, there is no shortage of t-shirt companies. There's no shortage of ticketing platforms. There's no shortage of washing machines. Things are just going to get more plentiful as time goes on. And it's really good to just sit down, make a decision, and move on, because that time, as you go in your career, you do get really good at research skills and not needing to do a whole huge dragged out project. Like my friend said up at the beginning, their time is valuable. Your time is valuable. So make the decision, make as best an informed decision as you can. If you really do need to present research and proposals to someone, I'm not opposed to doing that, but I also feel like 20 years into my career that I've got a really good sense for these kind of things. Very rarely has it failed me. And I will do the digging and the research and take the demos with a smile on my face if the project is big enough. For something small like a shirt order for 5 people, just order the shirts. Use a company that you're familiar with. Ask a few friends, hey, have you had good luck? Just one that has hundreds or thousands of great reviews. Do a tiny little Google search, see what pops up, and go from there. For something like a washing machine, order the one with a great price and a fantastic warranty. Make the purchase, and if it's not right, you have layers of protection. You've got protection from your credit card, from your Costco return window. Not saying you have to order it from Costco, but, using Costco as the specific example this time. And from the excellent warranty. You've got 3 huge layers of protection that are hopefully insulating you and making you feel a little less buyer's remorse. Save the deep dive for the major projects where it really counts. They're going to be different in every industry or every household, but when it's worth your time and effort to do those deep dives and make the research happen. So I'd love to hear from all of you how you combat information overload, decision paralysis, and/or decision fatigue, and buyer's remorse. It's always easier when you're spending someone else's money, like your company's money, versus your own. But it's still important to make an informed decision to build trust within your organization and stay within budget. So that's everything for this week. As always, I would love to hear from you. askanassistant.com. You can leave your questions for consideration there. I just made some updates. I made some updates to the question form, made it a little simpler, a little more streamlined. I would love to hear from you on today's topic, on anything else that I haven't covered so far. Feel free to drop me a note. Again, askanassistant.com. And until next week's episode, take care.